Hey guys, I just finished recording this Q&A and I'm speaking to you from the future. So this took a very long time. I got like 2 hours of questions for you and I'm gonna upload it in like 3 parts of 40 minutes each and have fun with it. I'm not gonna put like music or elaborate visuals on it, probably just a random picture of Danved again or Exeggutor or God knows what. But I decided that no matter how much effort I put into that, people are probably gonna listen to this while doing something else, which you should. I don't expect anyone to just stare at a screen while listening to me answering questions. So go ahead, do something else, put some fun music on. And that way I also get to spend more time making other videos like fucking Pitfalls. So thank you very much for all your attention, questions, congratulations, etc. And have fun. It's the most wonderful time of the year, also known as question and answer time. I'm just gonna go get straight into it because I know I can ramble a lot. It's already starting now. Danved solo when? Well, Danved is, unfortunately, due to the nature of Radiant Dawn, Danved is not exactly the kind of character you can solo with. Like, imagine you start playing Radiant Dawn thinking, I'm gonna solo with Danved, and then for the first part 1, you just get to use Mekkah, Edward, Soth, etc. And in part 2, there's like one chapter where you can use Danved, and another half chapter if you do 2E, and then it disappears again for like 9 maps. So, I know this is kind of a joking comment, but I think that's kind of a cool thing about Radiant Dawn is that you get to use a lot of different characters no matter who you plan to use, but at the same time that limits how much you can use each individual unit. So a little bit of tidbit about what I think about Radiant Dawn and its part system there, I guess. A simple one. What's your favorite video game? Well, I grew up on Pokemon. I grew up on Pokemon big time. Pokemon Blue was the first cartridge I owned, and it's also one of the few to this day. So for that reason, I'm going to have to say Pokemon Blue, but I also really like Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver. But, you know, Fire Emblem is also a big thing for me. But there's a lot of games I grew up with. I'll probably get into them in some other questions, because a lot of people ask me about what I do besides playing Fire Emblem. What was my first Fire Emblem game? Oh boy, okay, so this is way back when I was into competitive Pokemon, and when I say way back, I mean like 2003, 4, 5 maybe. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of you weren't even born back then. So I was chilling on this IRC server with my good friend Meditrick, which is like a fusion between the names of Medicham and Meditrick. And he was trying to get me into different games besides Pokemon, and he told me to try Golden Sun first. And it was alright, it was fun, but I got stuck somewhere. And he recommended me this game called Fire Emblem. Gave me a Fire Emblem 7 thing, you know, that kind of thing we don't really talk about, but that does exist and lets you play games for free, wink wink. And it was fun. I got hooked. I was really bad at it. I was absolutely horrible. Some fun, memorable things about it. Like half my crew died in limb mode for sure. I got the weapon triangle mixed up. I thought Lance's speed axis because my Florina kept getting lucky against brigands. So that didn't go too well. And I said the words, this is about Dorcas. So I said, the thing with the hand axe that Dorcas uses, it's like sheer cold, you know, it doesn't hit often, but it doesn't hit often, but when it does, wow, it's so strong. So yeah, that shows you how much I paid attention to the numbers and everything. Efi'S, first Fire Emblem game I ever played. Congrats on the upcoming 4K. As for the questions, I have 2. That's fine. So what is your favorite Efi game on a gameplay level? I'd probably say Efi 5, but that's kind of cheating because it's kind of like a merge between how much the gameplay is integrated with the story. I also really like Efi 12, even though I've never finished it on the absolute highest difficulty, but I know it's really challenging. But when I play Efi, I often just kind of want to unwind, so that's why when I'm playing just to chill, I don't really like playing Efi 12 on Lunatic, but Efi 12 is really good too. And which one could you play pretty much every day without it feeling stale? None, to be honest. I mean, none and everyone. When I'm done with a Fire Emblem game, I usually don't feel like playing it again for quite a bit, because I get pretty worn out on them. But at the same time, once I've started doing a playthrough that I really enjoy, I want to play it almost every day or even all day long because I'm pretty invested in those. I want to keep going. So yeah, if I like a Fire Emblem game, I'm going to keep playing it until I finish it. And then I stop for a little while. I got to play some other Fire Emblem games or even some other games altogether. Hey Mecha, if I want to start speedrunning Fire Emblem, which Fire Emblem game is the easiest to speedrun? Do you mean speedrun or LTC? Because that's a pretty big difference. And sometimes people say speedrun when they mean LTC. Like, I know Mangs keeps mixing that up because he's a retard. So, if you're talking speedrunning, like getting the lowest time, I would probably recommend Awakening because it's a Robin's dump, as far as I know. I've read the speedrun notes for it. I've tried doing it for a little bit, but nothing too serious. And it's not too difficult. You can skip enemy phases, so the run is kind of short. For the same reason, the SFE has very short runtime, I guess. Like, you can do Shadow Dragon in under a half an hour. I forgot what the record is. If you want to know more about Fire Emblem speedrunning, you should probably talk to Kirby Masta or Gwimpage. They're both on the Fire Emblem subreddit and on the Fire Emblem Discord. They're very nice guys. They're willing to help beginners to an extent. You know, just don't ask them all the basic notes and everything, but they like talking about Fire Emblem speedrunning for sure. If you're talking LTC, I would recommend starting with FE8. It's pretty nice. It's, how do I say this? It's kind of linear in a way, how you LTC it. And a lot of people have done it, so a lot of people can help you with it. What got you interested in Fire Emblem LTC community? Why do you enjoy LTC? Okay, so I'm known for being an LTC player for some reason, or like being part of the community, even though I don't LTC too much. It's just because people associate me with Dondon because I commentated the runs that he did together. But what I like about LTC is that it's challenging and it makes you think about characters and how to use them in a very limited way, in a very, well, not limited, no, it's more like a wide way. It's like you really want to get the most out of every turn, and so you do weird stuff. Like, I don't know, I like doing LTC drafts sometimes, for example, and I think in one draft I got Wendy because, you know, last pick. And, you know, I used Wendy to pick up Roy sometimes, and then I would give Roy to another mounted character next turn, and then that mounted character could use his turn to do something else on turn 2 instead of having to go back and get Roy. So in that way, Wendy was useful. So LTCs are a pretty cool way to make use of characters, even if they're bad, which is ironic because sometimes LTC players have the reputation of saying, like, this character isn't good for anything. That's so, like, the elitist mentality of not liking bad units. But the truth is, you can LTC with, like, any team. You just, if you want to say, I want to get the lowest turn count possible while using Wendy, Sophia, and OJ, for example, to just pick 3 bad units, you could do that. That's totally a viable challenge. And it wouldn't be the lowest turn count possible, but it would be an LTC run. But what got me interested, I guess, is, seeing Dondon do it. I guess that's the main reason. I also like watching Valk play their LTC runs. I'll talk more about that channel later. Why is Danved your mascot character? Why? Because I don't know, Danved is kind of a meme. I just like his very relaxed attitude towards life. Danved is a very different personality from Devdan. I know people get them confused a lot, but Danved is just very relaxed. He's very confident, but at the same time, he's not really worried about anything. Some people say he's like a racist cartoon or something, but I don't know. If he was white, he would be exactly the same character to me. But then again, I get why some people find him offensive, but I like Danved a lot. The amount of lines he gets is just perfect for characterizing him, which is a great way. How did Devdan become your character or whatever? It's Danved, but whatever. I'm really curious about it. Thanks for answering. If you do, no problem. How did he become my avatar? Jeez, how did he become my avatar? I mean, it started when I had to pick a flare for the subreddit. And I decided I'm just going to take Danved because I like him. I think he's a funny character. And what I also find important is no one else had him as a flare. There was a couple times where there was a bot that would post how many people had each flare. And I was like the only person with the Danved flare. So I kind of liked having a distinct avatar. I like sticking out of the crowd. So that's why I kept it. And then it kind of carried over to YouTube and other places. Like, it's been my Discord avatar for a while too. So that's why I like Danved. He looks nothing like me, if that's what you're wondering about. Okay. Hey Mecha, recently I've been watching your Let's Plays with Mangs. I've really enjoyed them. Is it possible you may be uploading your own Let's Plays in the future? Well, good news for you, Metro Mike. I have plenty of Let's Plays uploaded on my channel, not all of them complete. Not all of them high quality, but I do have an FE4 reverse recruitment Let's Play, and there's an FE8 Let's Play that I'm working on, and and don't forget the Void Split Star Adventure Let's Play. So those are some LPs that I have done. Metadash, who comments on like every video. Always good comments though. Do you think some fans still associate you as that guy with dondon when you've branched out considerably before and after your 0% run with him? I think right now, because dondon is inactive, most people associate me with Mangs more so than dondon, but dondon is definitely what got people interested in me in the first place for a pretty long time. But some people probably still do associate me with dondon for this reason. Like I said, I got kind of an LTC reputation because of dondon, even though I'm not the greatest person at LTCing, not by a long shot. If you created your own Fire Emblem game, which game would it be most close to in the mainline series and why? Will probably be closest to like my favorites, so FE5, probably. I mean, I'm not crazy enough like Kaga to do some of the things in FE5, but I would strive for it to be like FE5. So that's probably why it would be like it. But at the same time, I think the strength of the games like FE5 is that they try to be different from other games, so trying to make a game that emulates another game's success is probably not the best way to go about it, which is probably why I'm not making Fire Emblem games right now. If you played Pokemon and Fire Emblem game, have you played Pokemon Conquest, and what are your thoughts? I have not played Conquest. I've had it recommended to me though. Apparently they're very dialogue heavy. I think the concept seemed cool. I just don't own them, but I might play it sometime. How did you met Mangs? Well, I think a lot of people asked something about Mangs, so I guess I'll get into how I ended up on a Let's Play with Mangs and being associated with him. So, someone else said, the birthday stream is pretty much what got it started, I think. Mangs was streaming FE8 PME for his birthday stream, and I got in the chat, and he was Skyping with a bunch of people. It's like Mage Knight 404 was in there, and I think Mina, and some other people. I think Mr. Antonin was there too, and they were like, oh my god, invite Mekkah, so they invited me to the Skype call, and it was pretty chill, and that was my first experience just relaxing with Mangs and just kind of sitting on the stream with him. And let's see, did anything else happen between? I don't think much happened between then and when I got onto his FE7 Let's Play. I think the only interactions we had until then was me nitpicking his Fire Emblem spotlights because some of the gameplay advice in that was really terrible or like led to misconceptions. So that I always ended up correcting him in those. Other than that, I didn't dare to interact with Mangs much. But then he asked if I wanted to join him on his FE7 LP when he was on chapter 12 on FE7. And I said sure. And that pretty much got our quote-unquote relationships started. And here we are. There's probably more of a continuation on that story, but for now, this is basically how I got involved. Why is your channel logo an Exeggutor? Well, Exeggutor is by far my favorite Pokemon. Like, if I ever had to pick one, I would pick him. I like both the Alolan and the OG version. Kind of like with Danved, Exeggutor just seems like a kind of guy that just has a very relaxed attitude about life. He's just, you know that old Exeggutor TCG art where he's just kind of chilling on a beach on a tropical island? I would say leaning against a tree, but Exeggutor is a tree, so that doesn't really make sense. He's always blankly staring at the space, which is also something I find myself doing. I associate myself with Exeggutor, although I'm not as tall. Would enjoy something similar to the FB Switch leaks. I assume you're referring to the Castlevania kind of thing, and I've not played any Castlevania games. I'm not big into vampire culture or anything. So, like, I would probably be interested in trying it out, but it doesn't make me more interested. And also, I'm pretty sure they're fake, so I don't really get invested in leaks until they're, like, by the actual party that's making the game. Hey Mecha, I want to get into LTC play and wish to know if there are any good points to start with to begin LTC play. So I said earlier, start with FE8. That's a pretty fun game to LTC, I think. It's a pretty good game to get a grip of the basics. And for the rest, well, you probably want to know what the minimum turn counts are and what the strats are. FE8 is pretty linear because it's mostly figured out. So you will probably be able to copy a lot of the strats, which I don't know if you want to like just copy good strats or think of your own. If you want to think of your own, then don't set the bar too high and just keep challenging yourself and see like how many turns does it take me to get to the boss or get Erika to the siege point or get to the furthest enemy, and just start experimenting from there. Don't worry about getting the lowest possible turn count right away, because that will just be frustrating. Just try to keep challenging yourself and keep having fun. If you're not having fun, do something else. Will you ever collab with dudes like, for example, Har and Bossman again? That was a one-time lucky kind of thing that I will be willing to do again. In fact, the Saboteur game that we uploaded, or that I uploaded, was I think it's like the second or third time that we did it, but it was one where I felt confident recording it because we kind of got a hang of the rules, but it still needs more experimenting. It died off because I never really took initiative to start it again, but I would be open to doing it again sometime. It was really fun. How can we get that Kirby Master to play Thracia already? I know, right? I know, right? I think whenever I talk to Kirby Master, he's already playing another game, like he's speedrunning a stream or something. So it's really hard to get him to do it. I think at some point we're just going to have to kidnap the guy and just put him in the back of a van with a controller and a Thracia console and just say, hey dude, you're not getting out until you play FE5. How you and Mangs became closer. Was it because of the ship posting? Okay, so I guess I'll continue the Mangs story here, because, a lot of people are obviously asking questions about me and Mangs. Yeah, so obviously doing a Let's Play together gets you a bit closer. Like, we talk for a little bit before and after recording. Not too long, because sometimes we both have to get up early, and obviously we have other things to do before that. I think one thing that made Mangs and me more than just quote-unquote reluctant LP partners. I mean, I'm not actually reluctant to LP with him, but, the story. So, one time something controversial happened where people were like denouncing Mangs, some kind of controversy. And this is hard to phrase properly without all the text and stuff in here, but basically I tried to figure out what exactly had happened that led people to try and boycott Mangs or something. And it turned out it was mostly gossip without any real proof. So I made a huge Reddit post about why I thought Mangs was innocent until proven guilty, basically. And that also led me to get in contact with someone who... I'm going off on a tangent. I'll need to edit this a bit. Basically, I did him a favor of sorts. And as a result, I think we got a bit closer. That seems like it. But just regularly hanging out also does that. The ship posting war also probably helped. I forgot who started that, actually. I think I did. Can I be unbanned on Discord? Yes. Who is the best Fireman character of all the Efi'S? Well, I like Danved the best out of all of them. Even though he's not from my favorite game. Although I'm also really a big fan of Leaf is one of my favorites. Definitely Efi5 Leaf. I like Nana as well. I like a lot of Efi5 characters. Who else do I like? I like Marcus, but mostly for gameplay reasons, I guess. If you're talking like best gameplay-wise character, I made a top something. I'll probably link it in the description. A top 30 best characters of all time. That was not entirely accurate. It was just games that I played. I included some bias points, but my top 3 was like, I think it was Sigurd and Seth as 1 and 2. I think number 3 was Har, but I'm not sure. But nowadays I would rank Robin over them. My favorite color is blue because it relaxes you, and obviously I need a lot more relaxation in my life. Have you ever tried making a ROM hack or a map yourself? I make very simple ROM hacks sometimes, or I used to do that at least. 0% growth was a simple ROM hack started by me. PMEs, I have also made 1 or 2 of those. I've never tried making a map or anything more complicated. Oops. I've never really tried making a map or making a portrait or anything. I've never really tried making a proper hack. And the reason for that is it's a lot of time investment. Like, I heard the frustrations of Dondon trying to do that, and he got sick of it, and Dondon is like, a much harder worker than me. So I'm not going to get into that, but I know how to do nightmare edits. Will you ever attempt to play Fates? You know, in the unlikely event that I will actually set up a Patreon and people are willing to donate for it or something, then maybe I will play Fates and make fun of how bad it is. But that's kind of a dead horse at this point, so I don't know if that's worth it, if that's something people want to see. Kind of don't want to waste money like that. I don't want to buy a game like Fates and give them money for making a shitty product. Maybe if it's like possible to emulate it at some point, but fucking Fates. When is next Pitfalls episode coming out? Soon. I'll try to get it out before New Year. If that doesn't happen, then soon after. It's my number one priority when editing right now. Other than this very video, of course. If you were to... Oh, also, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I regularly post updates on what I'm doing on my Mekkah's Prison channel thing on Fort Mangs. So if you're on Discord, you can check it out. I think I posted like how many minutes I'm into editing it. Like I'm literally telling people how close Pitfalls is to coming out. And it's also kind of like a subscriber thing. Like you can just check the channel to see what I'm working on. And when I'm uploading something, I also always post a link there. If you were to make a Efi rebalanced mod, what would you do to make bad characters such as Barth, Sophia, and even Ewan more viable and on par with the others? Would you apply any changes to certain maps? If you would, why? Oh, jeez. Oh. Well, I don't think every character needs to be rebalanced to begin with. Like, I think it's fine for one character to be bad and other characters to be good. That's like totally whatever. But if I were to like try and balance everyone, I know I've kind of dabbled into it, like trying to think of how I would do it. And I think I came to the conclusion that if you want to make Armor Knights better without just turning them into paladins, basically, you got to give them like flyer movement. They can still have low movement, but they can bypass terrain. And then you got to give them like a better starting position or something. I don't know. Sometimes the unit is like beyond saving. Will I apply any changes to certain maps? I mean, if you look at Gaiden, it's pretty obvious what you have to do. Just decrease the movement penalties, that kind of stuff. Like, the stuff that makes you go, this is, like, over the top, stop punishing this type of unit further, I would do for those. Like, Radiant Dawn for Fiona, for example, where she can't come into 1-8 is just... Why? She's already bad, and she would be bad in that map, so why would you prohibit her from going there? That's just so lame. Face reveal. No, because of the real life arguments. I think anonymity, however you pronounce it, the possibility of being anonymous is too valuable to give up. So I'm not going to do a face reveal. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what I look like anyway. I try to make my content speak for itself. It's not that I'm like afraid of being filmed or whatever. I regularly get filmed for my work and stuff. So that's not what I'm afraid of or anything. It's just I don't see much added value. Like I could see where there could be, but I don't think it's necessary for the kind of content I'm trying to make. Why Exeggutor? I've been over this. How to make FE8 harder. Just increase the enemy stats. If you want to just make it harder without any further balancing aspects to it. You can always make FE harder by increasing enemy stats. Doesn't mean it will be more fun though. You can also just do a challenge playthrough, like don't use promotion items or 0% growth, low turn counts, that kind of stuff. Best Fire Emblem character. Robin. I mean, gameplay-wise, because, you know, he breaks Lunatic plus. Doesn't get much better than that. He breaks Lunatic, he can solo it. He's stupidly good. What's your PC specs? You always say you have a toaster set up. Let me look that up. Hold on. Okay, so I made a picture of my specs, and if I remember, I'll include it at this point. It's not like it's a really bad computer, but it's just that I bought it long ago, so it probably got worse as time went on. It's like 10 years old or something. Well, not 10, but at least 6 or 7. Favorite quote from any media, be it from a game, book, movie, and so on. Jeez, let me think about this. Okay, I've decided after a very short search that it's going to be the lyrics to Pink Floyd's Shine On You Crazy Diamond. They really speak to me, even though like I don't fully always interpret lyrics like in a conscious way. These lyrics are still just very powerful to me. So if you don't know Pink Floyd, you're missing out. Go check it out. Can you give specific examples or reasons as to why you don't like Fates? You always give general statements as to why you don't like it. To be honest, I just want to hear why Fates sucks from someone who isn't a series noob other than Mangs. Okay. I don't like the general direction of Fates, which is a very general statement, I know. But like, I'm okay with it, some fan service, but when it becomes almost the entire point of the game, it feels very distasteful to me. And in addition, I also do not like avatars in general. I don't like how the world and the whole story is centered around Corrin, who is also supposed to be the player's self-insert. I don't like how the story jumps around without ever elaborating on why anything is happening. The game seems to be like, it's like they're making it up as they go, basically. They're always just justifying things very vaguely, and the viewer is supposed to accept everything that's happening. And in addition, like almost every character seems to be to pander to some kind of person out there. They're always going for certain Japanese stereotypes or whatever. It's just very cliche. I know Fire Emblem is always had anime elements, but Fates is basically anime in a Fire Emblem shell, whereas other things, it's more like anime elements in the Fire Emblem game. So, yeah. Also, the 3-path split is dumb, especially the Revelations part. Or Revelations, sorry. I always mispronounce that. When the hell's the next Pitfalls? I've already addressed this. What game series do you like besides Pokemon and FE? Okay, so lately I've only been playing those, but I grew up on Commander Keen, the Lemmings series. Jazz Jackrabbit is a very good series. Worms, mostly Worms 2, is also very fun. What other game series? Oh, I also like Super Meat Boy. That's also fun. And Grand Theft Auto. How did you meet Mangs? Pretty much been addressed. Why the name Mecha? Alright. I actually expected this one to come up sooner. But then again, I'm only like a quarter through all the questions. So, geez. Why the name Mecha? Well, I already said this in a Smog interview a long time ago, which is why I tell people that I've already said it. But I guess I'll say it here for the record so that I can refer back to it. Why the name Mecha? Alright, well, if you don't speak Dutch, this is kind of hard to explain and also kind of awkward. So, I was like 12 or 13, let's see, 2003. No, I was more like 14, I guess. So, I was in this Pokemon board on IGN, which is where that was my community back then. The Pokemon board on IGN. And you could go on IRC, which is a chat client. It's kind of like the predecessor to Discord these days. IRC still works, of course, but most people have shifted to like Showdown or Discord, or both. But back then, IRC was the bomb, and you had to register to keep your name protected so that other people can steal it. And me being the amazing, edgy teenager I picked the name _unknown_1. That was me. Which worked on the IGN boards, but when I tried to register it on IRC, the server bot wouldn't accept it. Probably because of the underscores. No, actually, it was because I put these dumbass brackets in there. I had like 2 opening brackets before and 2 opening brackets after, because your name isn't cool unless it has numbers and weird signs in it. So it didn't work, and I thought I was doing something wrong, or might be doing something wrong, so I asked one of the other players to try and register it for me. And for them to do that, they had to get onto my name, so I had to change my name to something else, because 2 people cannot occupy the same name at the same time, unlike on Showdown. So I switched to like the first thing that came into my mind. Okay, and this is the weird part. So in Dutch, how do I say this? This is such a dumb thing to say out loud. Okay, so the English, they say that sheep and goats, they bleat, right? That's the sound they make. That's the verb you use to describe the sound makes. But in Dutch, the verb to describe that is different. You pronounce it mekkeren. And I know it sounds like I just had a throat explosion or something. But mekkeren is the verb. And like you would say, he mekkers or something. And in Dutch, there's like an edgy way to say Mekkah, which is replacing ER with a H. So that sounds even cooler. Just like underscores, brackets, and numbers your name. It's so much cooler. It's amazing. So I went with Mekkah. And the guy tried to register my name. He said, it's not working for me. I can't do it. So maybe just keep the one you took there. And I was like, okay. I kept it. And I still have it. And people still ask if I'm a Muslim. True story. I'm not a Muslim. Okay, I took a bit of a break because I was sounding more and more tired since, I've been up all day. But now it's like afternoon and I have a little bit of time to record a little more. So let's get into it with a little bit more enthusiasm. What's your favorite classes in Fire Emblem? I answered this before. I deleted it though because I was sounding too tired. I deleted like 5 minutes worth of answering questions. So I'm kind of repeating myself, but don't worry. Favorite classes. I thought about this and I'm going to go with the more special, unique classes that you only see in a couple of games. One of those is the Ballistician class from FE11. I think even though it's really broken, it's also a really cool concept. Usually Ballisticians are mostly in the hands of enemies in Fire Emblem, and I thought it was really cool that you actually get to use them in your own class. And I say FE11 because you get to forge the ballistas in that game, whereas in the original FE1 you don't. But I think it's really cool to use like long-range artillery weapons with all kinds of different specialities, like the Thunderbolts and the Arrow Spade. They all do different things. So I think that's really neat. But I understand them taking it out. I just wish they hadn't. Just delete Jake and Beck if you're gonna do that. Don't reclass it to something dumb. I also like Halberdier and Soldier, I guess. I like Jerome, I like Nephany. I don't like Aaron. I like Danved, of course. So I definitely like I like things that you can't have often. And I think people have been pining for a Soldier Halberdier that's playable for a long time in early FE. Like the last one was like Luca in FE2 and Forsyth. So I'm glad they made their return. Obviously, soldiers were kind of meant to be a joke enemy that you just kind of get to train on, but people really just wanted to get a foot unit that's like lance-based, but not an armor knight. So I think that's also one of the reasons why I personally like Soldier Halberdier. I also, and this is going to be a very strange answer, I like Merlinus from FE6. Like this class is pretty cool. It's like a mobile transporter, and you get to warp things to his convoy, like the warp that Dondon did in FE6 quite a few times. And like teleporting all around, I was around using the convoy is so great. I saw some other good uses of it with like Erica and Ephraim in FE8, and you can do it in FE11 as well with Marth because he also has the convoy. But Merlinus, his whole class is about that, and I think that's really cool. How did you meet Mangs? Pretty sure I've answered this. He posted on Dondon's videos quite a lot, and that we were pretty grateful for that because it got more attention our way. So even though his comments were pretty stupid, they were just saying Pooji over and over. It drew attention our way, and that's what helped him grow, and in turn, that's what helped me grow. What's your funniest FE story? I'm pretty sure I answered this. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I answered it, and then I deleted it. So let me tell that again. So besides the story I told about my first experiences playing Fire Emblem and how I thought the weapon triangle was reversed because of how Florina did against Brigands and that kind of stuff, I definitely have some other stuff to say. Why are you not recording? Are you recording? Yeah, you are recording. Okay. So what are funniest FE stories? Let me think. Okay, so I was doing an LTC draft, and I've told this story on Discord before, and this actually happened twice. You know how in FE7 there's like two versions of Pilflower of Darkness, the Kenneth version and the Jeremy version? And I really didn't want to go to Jeremy because it takes way more turns and it's also much less fun because it's route instead of seas. You have to open all these doors and you have to face the snow much more often, which means heavy movement penalties. So it's both like mentally exhausting and it would hurt my turn count. So, and I had drafted like a Hero Quest user in two instances. In one of them it was Guy and the other it was Dorcas. And I either didn't have a magic user or they were unleveled compared to my Hero Quest users. So I fed my Hero Quest user to Vida in an effort to try and get rid of their experience, because if your Hero Quest units outlevel your Guiding Ring users, then you go to Jeremy map. But if otherwise, then you go to Kenneth map. But by killing a unit, you delete their experience gain. And so I was able to go to Kenneth map by suiciding Guy and Dorcas on Vida. And that was pretty funny. I like doing that. I'm sorry, Darkcast and Geek, but you weren't saving any turns anymore. They were mostly useful for early game shenanigans. I could swear there are other stories, but they are not coming to mind right now, so I'll tell them when I think of them. What's your favorite Fire Emblem game? Thracia, because it's awesome and I never dislike it. Like there's some Fire Emblems that I'm burned out on after playing it, but Thracia I could probably play over sometime. It just needs less cooling down time, as I've explained basically. Thoughts on every Efi Warriors? What are those? What are thoughts? Well, Efi Warriors is a fan service game. And like I said, I don't really like blatant fan service, but Fireman Warriors is a spin-off, so how mad can you really be about that? At the same time, I am really tired of the same characters seeing the spotlight over and over again. The fan favorites, Lucina, Lynn, Robin, Corrin. Like, if you like those units, that's totally fine, but Efi has such a wide and varied cast, and I think pandering to the bigger numbers, the people that are the biggest fans of, is just so easy and creatively like underwhelming that I'm not a big fan of it. I also didn't like the marketing for the game. The PR was absolutely horrendous, and I'm not alone on this. I know this for a fact. They were very contradictory and unclear what they wanted with the game, and as a result, they gave like very wrong expectations. Like, you make a game that's like very well positioned to service a wide number of the audience, a wide array of the audience, kind of, by including people from all over the place, but then they focus on 3 games, which was a choice I can respect, but then they also had to put Lin in there for some reason, and Celica out of nowhere, and they also like really shafted Shadow Dragon, so they really dropped the ball numerous times on the marketing of that game. And as for the gameplay itself, from what I've seen, it's mostly mindless hack and slash with some objectives sprinkled here and there that are like kind of meant to be thought-provoking, and I've heard people say that it's making it more of a tactical game, more of a Fire Emblem game than a Warriors game. But I'm not seeing it. I just see people hacking, slashing, and I'm not really big on that. Like, it's okay as stress relief, but it's like, it doesn't really feel like a Fire Emblem game to me, from what I've seen. I'm not playing it. Maybe at some point I will. If Kaga came back to Fire Emblem, how do you think it'll change and why? What would you like to see for the return of Kaga Emblem? Okay, I am a big fan of Kaga Emblem, so sure, but Kaga is so far removed from current Fire Emblem that I really don't see this happening without some kind of clash. I mean, there's a reason the guy left, and from what I understand, he even got sued for the games he tried to make, even though he was the original creator, so I don't think that would be a very peaceful return. And considering the way the fan base has grown towards the newer games, and Kaga is like known for experimenting. Like, the current games, they all seem to copy the Fire Emblem formula, whereas Kaga was always experimenting with what he could do with Fire Emblem to make it different and shake up the core foundations of it. He was much more willing to take risks. Whereas right now it's more about pleasing the fan base that they have, both of the halves of it. So that seems very hard, but theoretically, if it happens, I would like to see more experimentation, more screwing around, maybe don't put a dragon at the end, maybe don't have Christmas Cavaliers, maybe don't have an overworld. Radiant Dawn had some experimentation that's like almost Kaga level, where with the parts system, I mean, that's not even close to Kaga, but it's something that Kaga might do. It's kind of like with Gaiden, with different parts of Almond Celica's routes. So I don't know, surprises. That's the thing. I want it to surprise me. Okay, what is your favorite FE characters? I think I've said this before, but I might have deleted it, so I'll just go over my favorites real quick. Danved is definitely my favorite. Leaf from FE5. Nana from FE5. Finn from FE5. I like FE5, okay? Sue me. I like Micaiah's design. I like... what else do I like? Ooh, this is so hard always. 'Cause, I'm never really drawn to characters so much. Although sometimes I do enjoy them. I enjoy Horror from FE10. And this is all from a character perspective, not as much as a gameplay perspective. Although sometimes when they go hand in hand, it's really nice. But I'll just keep that sum up. More Pokemon content. Sure, maybe. I'm a bit focused on pitfalls right now, but Pokemon is very good for like a quick recording, like just hop on Showdown, except viewer battles. That takes me like half an hour to an hour tops, and I get some viewer interaction out of it. That's great. So I might do that. The Pokemon TCG stuff, like Legacy, I don't really have an audience of that. I feel like people don't really watch it as much because they're like long videos of like a format that's obscure. And I don't really like playing other formats too much. There's so many other YouTube channels doing it. I'm not the best at it. Like, I'm okay. What the hell? Oh, my RC just disconnected. Okay. But yeah, I will probably do more Pokemon content at some point. I have one thing coming up that's like Pokemon related that people will like. You'll see what it is. Sorry I've asked a lot of questions, but I just want to say congratulations on your 4K, and I love your content. Thank you very much. By the way, I'm not reading out usernames because these videos, I'm probably splitting this up. They're going to be so long already. So if I read out all the names, that's going to be a big pain in the butt. So I'm sure you'll recognize your questions when I see it. I'm doing it from the order of oldest to newest, by the way. So that's how you can tell where I am. Maybe someone will compile timestamps if they're really bored. Is the good old duo of Dondon 151 and Mekkah returning anytime soon? If the answer is too personal for either of you, then feel free to skip this question. Okay, so I really want this to happen, and I'm sure Dondon would enjoy it as well, but our schedules were always kind of hard to match. He's in the US, I'm in Europe, so it's like a 6 to 9 hour difference, I don't remember. Usually we would do it during my evening, on a day that he would have free time, which there's not too much left of, as far as I know. But Dondon has publicly said on Reddit that he is still working on FE12 0% growth because, you know, it was too far. He was too far in basically to quit. Like, he wants to finish it, but it's going to be a while because he rarely has time. And then even if he finishes it, there's like a chance that we won't be able to record the commentary together, but we will try to figure something out if it happens. Maybe we'll commentate separately. Maybe I'll commentate it with someone else. That way he has to spend less time on it. He just has to edit it. That could help. We'll figure something out at some point, but I don't even know when this would happen.